All right. Welcome to the listening room. This is a space where real conversation meets real solutions. I am your host, April DiPietro. I'm the Community Resource Director at the Camden County Partnership for Children. And our mission is to connect families with the resources that can help the children heal and grow and thrive. And today we're pulling back the curtain to talk a little bit more about the CMO services. So let's introduce the two of you. Who are you, and why did I ask you to come on this episode today?
You want to go first?
Oh, you go.
Okay. I'm Danielle. I'm a supervisor at the CMO. I've been at the CMO for going on 13 years now.
Ooh.
Started as a care manager, then a team lead, now a supervisor.
Nice.
So work with a team of 6 care managers and lots of kids and families.
That's amazing. It's amazing.
I'm Bevon Barker. I've been with the CMO 10 years. I'm actually a lead care manager now. What was the other one? I forget what you said.
Why I asked you to come on this podcast today? How you feel about that?
I don't know why you asked me. Honestly, I believe you wanted to get a perspective of what we do and how we come to do it every single day and what we actually stand for in the community.
Excellent.
And I thought I was actually honored to be asked to come.
Awesome. Well, thank you. I appreciate both of you taking the time out of your busy schedules. But like we've been sharing with our listeners, the purpose of this podcast is to bridge some gaps and make sure that more parents, caregivers, and professionals in our community better understand what is New Jersey's children's system of care, how can we help them and their littles. So bringing the two of you in was specific and purposeful, because I want to make sure that our listeners, now that we've already kind of reviewed with them what is children's system of care, what is that phone number, what it looks like when they make that call, the type of questions that will be asked. We introduced the Family Support Organization, Children's Mobile Response, and now we're going to dive into what happens when that family does get linked with their county's CMO, right? Because just as a reminder to our listeners, there is a CMO agency in each county across our great state. So an agency just like ours out there doing the good work. So let's just kind of jump in. I want to start with you, Bevon. You said you've been with the company for a few years. What makes you keep coming back to do this work every day? Because I know it's not easy.
I've always had a passion for working with kids, and I've always had a passion to bridge that gap with a lot of families who don't have the opportunity to push their children. What I've seen even in my years is that the generations of parents are getting younger and younger. Yeah. And with that happening, a lot of the values and, morals aren't being instilled because they didn't even have it instilled in them.
Right.
So it's seen it being that generational, especially in the communities with kids look like me. Mm-hmm. It's very big for me to just kind of be there for support. I was always in school wondering why this person would come in with a tie and a badge and they get to do, I was like, I like that type of job. What's up with that? You know what I mean? So, as I progressed in my studies and I kind of stumbled upon this, I was actually a BA at first.
Okay.
And I went to a meeting for a care manager and I basically ran the meeting and she was like, you're in the wrong business.
Yeah.
And that's how I got my start.
Well, we are very happy to have you at the agency. So just to clarify, I know we use a lot of acronyms in our field. So for our listeners, a BA is a behavioral assistant. They will work alongside of the in-home therapist. And they essentially help to put into physical motion and practice what that kiddo is learning in talk therapy earlier in that week. So it is a part of that child family team, which I'm sure you'll speak a little bit more about. But yeah, it's a huge role. So I love that story. I actually did not know that piece.
Yeah. Scooped him up for the gold team.
We were like, we'll take this one. This one's a good one. So thank you for your feedback and your passion and your willingness to do this work every day. Danielle, why don't you talk a little bit about your journey? You've had a couple different roles within the agency.
Yeah, so started as a care manager almost fresh out of my undergrad, which was in psychology, and then along the way, got my master's degree. So now I do this, and I also have a private practice on the side. But I find this work so meaningful and transformative because it really eliminates a lot of the barriers to folks accessing mental health treatment for their kids and families. We're talking barriers to transportation, we're talking financial barriers, and really bringing a team of folks into the lives of kids who really need it, families who really
Right.
need it, and who are going through their hardest moments, to be able to meet people in that moment
Yes.
and really kind of see the impact is huge, right?
Yeah. 100%.
And, you know, we've all been through things in our life. And so I just wish, like, man, if like my family had this when I was a kid, how much easier things might have been, right?
I share that sentiment. Yeah, my grandmother raised me. My mom was very young, had 2 kids under the age of 18.
Yeah.
And I often think if it wasn't for my grandmom, I might be a kid that was in the system.
Yeah.
Like, I guess, Philly's version of DCP&P, right? So that's just a little backstory of like why I got into this work. It's wanting to give back. It's wanting to help kids. It's wanting to break the cycle that just keeps repeating itself.
Yep.
Every day, a little bit helps. Okay, so for our listeners, we reviewed, you know, call and perform care to get that ball rolling, right? And then if mobile gets involved, it can go right to outpatient if the youth is stable and safe, but oftentimes it does come to us. So I guess, Danielle, if you wouldn't mind kind of starting at, like, if when you have a new care manager and you're explaining to them their role, how they help to coordinate these services for families, and like what the initial appointment or scheduled with the family looks like, kind of the paperwork that we go over, just so our listeners can have a better understanding of that beginning piece before they jump into like that ISP and stuff like that.
Right. So when a youth and family come over to the CMO, they're going to be assigned a care manager like Bevon or one of the other, I don't know, like 150 care managers we have.
So many staff.
And the first thing that's going to happen is we're going to take a look at what brought them in, kind of familiarize ourselves. We might talk, and then the care manager is going to outreach the family.
Okay.
And they're going to, I don't know if Bevon, you want to speak to this, but they're going to really introduce who they are, a little bit about what the CMO, and really the core of what the work that we do, wraparound.
Right.
And talk about how, you know, we come into the home, we're going to meet you where you're at. We're going to do the visits, the weekly check, right? Right.
Yeah,
and
it's huge.
One of the things is that we're meeting families and kids oftentimes in their most difficult time.
Yes.
So really coming in not as an expert or a know-it-all, but to just really kind of connect with people, hear their story, and figure out, okay, what do y'all need and how can we help? What can we figure out together?
What's the best course of action? Because it's not the same for every person, right? I often hear like, oh, if there's a particular diagnosis, like, what do you do? I'm like, I don't have a toolbox back here. It's not like, oh, okay, you need this wrench, or it's not like that. It's a trial and error, right? So, yeah, Bevon, can you speak a little bit to kind of, if you had an opportunity like this is the opportunity, but to speak to parents that maybe are hesitant to make that call so they can understand like who you are, why you're coming up in their house, and like what it is you're looking to do for their family to maybe lower some of their anxieties or hesitations on making that call.
Make the call.
24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365.
A lot of the times I feel like parents feel like they fail their children when they got to call somebody from the outside to kind of help support them.
Right.
And I'd like to emulate the fact that I'm support.
Right.
I'm not here to take your role. I'm not here to criticize what you've done. I'm not here to chastise you for what you've done.
We're not pointing fingers.
We're just here to assist you with whatever seems to be beyond your help.
Right.
Right. So my initial meetings are always conversations. I'm not coming in, bringing out the pen and the pad. I know when we first started, they had us bring this big board. And now I'd have, depending on the youth that I have, I'd have them draw me a picture while we're in the meeting because he needs to be or she needs to be occupied.
Right. Just normalizing the process.
Right.
Yeah.
While I'm speaking with mom and dad or whoever the guardian is at the time about what we're going to be looking for and what the expectation is for the next 3 to 6 months.
Right.
That we're going to be in place. So I try to lessen the anxiety, and it's not all cookies and rainbows.
I know that.
I think I've developed the most thickest skin here at this job because I've been cursed out. I can't even count how many times I've been cursed out initially.
Yeah.
Before you even met me, wouldn't know what I look like.
Right.
You know what I mean? So being able to walk into those situations with a very clean slate and just, understanding that their needs want to be met.
Yeah.
They need help.
Right.
And that's really the only thing that I'm focused on is how can I get to the point where I'm letting you know we're here to help?
Right. It's about building relationships. And it's a pretty intimate setting too, right? Like we're going into families' homes.
Right.
Like, I mean, even if we put aside culture or like religious beliefs, like that in itself is just like, wait, you're coming to my house?
Right.
Like, I'm not coming to your office? Like,
Right.
what? So I really do appreciate that perspective. And I love that you look at it as like, this is just a conversation. I'm here to help you. And then, like you mentioned, gaining that thick skin, not getting upset or taking it personal when someone's thoughts and feelings about this process maybe aren't where we would like it to be, but being willing to be patient and walk with them through that journey until they get there.
Yes.
That's pretty awesome. I love that.
It's very important that you establish that rapport in the beginning because, you know, they don't even trust themselves at this point. You know, imagine having to call somebody because you can't control what's going on in your home. I can imagine they're already approaching this with the most anxiety.
Right.
So who am I to come in and be like, well, you needed me, so that's here. You know what I mean?
So
versus like you need
not
help
having
with
that chip
something?
on your shoulder.
Yeah, you need help with something, like I'm here to help you.
Right.
So.
I love that. I love that. So again, just a plug for the FSO, right? The Family Support Organization. Each county has one, completely free. Family does not have to have our services through the CMO to access the FSO. And I really wish that more families were aware of that resource. Like when I do school presentations, I'm always doing a plug for them, even if they're not there with me, like partnering for that presentation. Because sometimes, you know, the challenges a family might be experiencing don't meet the clinical criteria, and we'll talk a little bit more about that, but they might not meet that for CMO high intensity level of service, but they could definitely benefit from the FSO, right? And getting connected to more of what's in the community. So let's talk a little bit about some of that paperwork. I know as an in-home therapist, I've worked with families with care managers from other counties, and I'll reference the crisis plan, and the family's like, the what?
What
and
is
I'm
that?
like, wait, I'm the fourth clinician that's been linked with your family. You've been open for a couple of years. You don't know what a crisis plan is? And like inside of me, I'm like, no, how did this happen? So if we could take just a moment or two to kind of talk about some of that paperwork that we have the families doing. I know we're electronic at our job, which is super cool. But like, how do you go about explaining that to the family, or like why it's important, or how it's a document that continues to get updated?
For me, or
for both of you, I would like both perspectives. So
I describe it as a panic button.
Okay.
Right? This is the panic button because a lot of times they get into a funk or a panic and they don't know who to call, what's going on. So that's
freeze, fight, flight. We're in trauma response. I get it.
So when we're in
Thick of it.
developing and we're developing this plan, it's very important that the information you give me goes on this plan so that if you can't reach anybody, we can always go back to this plan.
Right.
Or if it's after hours, we can go back to this plan.
Right.
Something that I would like for them to refer to, because also we were very big on promoting independence.
Yes.
Life after the CMO, right?
Correct.
So you should be able to go back to this plan
Successful transitions.
all the time.
Yes, sir.
That's one of the conversations we have in the beginning, and when we do the family crisis plan. So, you know, I like to ask a lot of questions that are a little unorthodox so that we can gain information, because a lot of families have problems communicating.
Yeah.
And again, they don't trust you.
Right.
You're coming into their home, asking.
They don't know you from
questions.
Adam.
Right.
Yep.
So we want to make sure that we ask like questions of like, who would you lean on when he gets on your nerves? Who do you call?
Right.
You know, things like that, versus
Start learning
is
those
there a
natural
person
supports.
that you can talk to? And I mean, once you start
Keeping it real.
therapizing people, they're probably going to check out. So,
Authenticity is
Yep.
yes,
They're going to build up that wall.
Very, very big on conversation.
So not scripted.
No, absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely.
That's important.
Just, you know, asking, and honestly, I've gotten the most information that way. When I first went in, I would ask these questions, and my family crisis plan would probably take a lot longer.
I remember those days.
Adopting the approach of just having a conversation.
Yeah.
And if you ask the right questions and speak to them in the right tones and things of that nature,
You got to read the room.
An abundance of information.
Yes, you have to read the room, right? Meet them where they are, and each family is going to be in a different place,
Absolutely.
right? In a different spot.
I think that's something we run into. You know, sometimes a lot of times we get families who are in crisis, like suicidality, like really intense things, but then sometimes we don't. And they're like, well, what's the crisis plan for? Like, they don't like relate to that
Johnny's
word of
not really
crisis.
angry. Yeah.
But it's like, what's the most difficult part of what you're experiencing right now?
And that can look different.
Right. And what are the tools? Who are the people that when you aren't thinking clear, you mentioned fight, flight, or freeze, right?
Yeah.
We know our prefrontal goes offline when we're overwhelmed. So a quick snapshot of like quick strategies, skills, people to call so that you can kind of just orient and handle the situation so it's super effective and it doesn't, get worse.
And it's supposed to be updated,
That's right.
right? Like, let's talk about that for a moment, right?
Like,
Like,
you want to know what the quietest part of the family crisis plan is? Is when you ask them what strengths are.
Isn't
That is the quietest
wild?
part. They can come and run off
All the
challenges.
negatives.
Ask you
Yes.
what your strengths are. Is crickets. And sometimes I even have a strategy of asking the youth, what is your mom's strength?
Right.
Or asking the mom, what's dad's strength?
Right.
So, because even just
We get locked in on just focusing on, I'm here and you're here because this kid can't get up for school on time or he keeps getting, suspended or whatever. It's like, but what's he good at? Right? What are the positives that we can maybe hone in on or focus on?
actually eases us into, because the next part of that is, risks and triggers.
Right.
And when we start talking about that, that's when the disagreement sometimes will arise. But hearing your parents say something positive about you after supposedly calling someone to get you right.
Right.
It's a very intensive process.
Yes, 100%.
You don't know what you're walking into every time.
100%.
Hashtag wraparound. I think being strength-based is the most impactful thing that we do.
It's important. It really is. Some of the families that I've worked with, they're like, I think I did that with my care manager a few years ago. And I was like, but then you were linked with in-home therapy, right? And a BA, and Johnny started doing extracurricular activities. Like,
he didn't learn nothing.
Those parts of that crisis plan should shift, and it should be documented because, Bevon, you touched on it. If it's after hours, they're not getting their assigned care manager. If they need to call the 24-hour CMO line for that assistance, because you're already open with services. You're not going to call Perform Care and then have mobile response get dispatched.
Right.
Those are services for families that aren't linked within the system, right? So what if I'm the care manager? I don't know anything about Bevon's kid.
That's right.
But if he updated the treatment plan and then the therapist gave some pointers, I then can look at that in the system at 1:00 at night and say, okay, like, can I talk with Johnny? Like, let's go over some of these things here. Because again, what's our main goal? We're trying to keep these kids out of the crisis center, right?
And a lot
Try to keep them safe.
Too, people don't realize people's supports change.
Yes.
Who you may have leaned on before may not be available.
Not the same person now.
I mean, unfortunately, I had one youth where his support was his grandmother and she passed away.
Yeah.
So why would that still be?
Right. That in itself could be a trigger at the wrong moment too.
And
like,
especially if that's the first person that was listed.
And if I'm the on-call care manager and I don't know grandma passed away, now here I am, Johnny's having a hard moment, and I'm like, well, it says here that you can call your grandmom. Now I just added a whole nother layer to the mix, and not for the desired outcome, which is stability and safety.
Right.
Yeah.
And the update really lends itself to what you mentioned, which is the purpose of us is to work ourselves out of a job.
Correct.
We're not a forever long-term service. So this is really a tool that then y'all are left with.
Yes.
And if it's updated how it's supposed to be, you have all these really great tools and skills and strategies and things that you can reflect on when little Johnny is now 15 struggling. You know what I mean?
Right. I often find myself when I'm doing presentations and I'm like, a family can pick up that phone and call Perform Care as many times as needed up until that young adult ages out of the system, right? Because you may have tapped in and had services when Johnny was 5 or 6 for anger, aggression, maybe ADHD, some kind of school refusal. And then you transitioned and things were copacetic, all was well in the world, but then a couple of deaths happened. Now we're dealing with depression. Maybe there's some gang involvement and court involvement, right? Which we'll have a whole episode on that, so stay tuned. But families don't necessarily know that they can reach out again. Yes, our job is to work ourselves out of a job, right? Like, we want to transition to community-based, sustainable resources, but also for them to continue that therapeutic journey at the outpatient setting. So updating all these documents is super important. I'm looking at time. So I want to make sure that we touch on the plan that the care manager puts in and the confusion that I hear from parents that I work with from the side of like the in-home therapist, where the therapist also has a plan. So they're supposed to be getting copies of 2 plans. And if there's a BA, then they're also potentially getting that third plan. So if we can speak a little bit to that, that would be really helpful, I think, for the listeners.
So when speaking to a family, I always explain the roles of the people because, again, we're coming in with these different titles,
Right.
these different people have called them. So I like to initially introduce every person
Right.
to what they are. And I let them know, like, I'm the building,
Mhm.
and these are the different departments inside this building. Right.
Smart.
And I make sure that the whole building is working so that these different departments can stay working.
Right.
Right.
To do what they
I'm
do.
not anybody's boss. They're not my boss. We all work as a
Collaborative effort.
to make sure that that your youth is
Mhm.
recovered. You are recovered. Everybody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's just like you walk into a department store and they have all these different things, and I make sure the whole store is working.
Gotcha. I like that. I usually use the realtor analogy.
Okay.
I tell like, especially schools, I'm like, my care manager is like the realtor.
Right.
They are helping the consumer, the person, the buying the house, hold all those balloons.
Right.
And we walk you through the process. We'll explain what the title insurance is. We'll explain to you why you need a mortgage and all that jazz. Yeah, but I like yours too. You're the building.
Yes.
All right. It's solid. It's a foundation.
Yes.
Okay. All right. I'm here for it.
Yes.
I'm here for it.
So just making sure that they understand those different facets and that the plan that we develop is an overall plan.
Right.
Right. They're going to develop a therapeutic plan for
Okay.
it, right?
Thank
and
you.
They're going to be a little bit more intensive, and they're going to actually talk about things that probably won't even get disclosed to us, right?
Right.
So because a lot of those are things that are confidential.
Right.
So we're talking about the big plan. What are you going to do when I'm big on the informal support.
Yes.
Right? I'm big on that. What are you doing to encourage them when we're not around?
Right.
So you have your formal supports of a therapist, you have your formal support of a BA, but what are you doing when he's having 3 consecutive good days? Are you saying good job?
Right.
Are you, rewarding him with extra bedtime?
Nurture heart approach.
Hashtag nurture
things.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nurture heart approach.
Yep.
Are we promoting excellence outside of the formal support?
Yeah.
And that is basically what our plan is to make sure that we reel in the different parties and everybody in their support system.
Taking those snapshots.
And everybody has a role.
Like an IEP.
Right.
Yeah.
Right?
It's the
This is
who's
where we are. This is what we plan to do. And then every couple months, y'all go out and you update that, right?
Yes.
You
every 60
take
to
a
90
pulse.
days.
Where are we? How are things going, right? How are things going with the therapist? Everything okay? All right. So I think that's super helpful. Thank you for that feedback. Okay. So supervisor standpoint, right? So sounds like Bevon's out there doing a lot. Right. And he's got background that not all of our care managers have. So if you could you speak a little bit to how you support each of the care managers on your team as they're doing this work and coordinating these services for the families that knew enough to call Perform Care?
So that's a loaded question. How do we support? There's a lot that goes into that, right? Because every care, just like all of our youth and families are different, our plans are individualized for those folks.
Yes.
Wraparound comes into the office too. So
Yeah.
working with the different care managers, their personalities, their story, it has to be individualized too. So what Bevon needs from me is different than what a different care manager on my
Right.
team might need.
She's like, who the hell is
Hashtag go to. And for me, right, there's two, through the lens of a supervisor, for me, there's 2 parts, right? There's the quantitative stuff, the numbers, the meetings, the stuff that's really important. In my opinion, equally or more important is the relationship with the care manager, making sure that we have this trust and connection so that they're receptive to the information that I'm
Right.
sharing. We can have the
constructive criticism, maybe.
we can have
Yeah.
these conversations about, well, what do you think this is? And in our supervision, it's really, the numbers and the dates and all that stuff. But also, can we really have this conversation about let's dive into what's happening for this kid and family? What do we do about it? And really having those kind of almost clinical conversations to kind of guide the care manager and understanding what's really happening for this kid and not getting stuck on the symptom or the behavior, but getting curious about what's underneath and how do we lead there?
I love that the both of you have touched on it without saying it, but I'm going to say it because I am who I am. These are human beings. They're not numbers, right? Yes, we are all in a business, right? We have to check the boxes and it is about the data and are we doing appropriate care management? Did the collateral happen? Did you go out twice?
Right.
Is the plan done on time?
Right.
But these are people. They're human beings. These are human lives.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's pretty important.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
Yeah. So, our families are humans, our care managers are humans too. And this work can be really emotionally taxing. So the other part of being a supervisor is like, how can I support you? What do you need? If you're tending to this youth in crisis that wasn't expected, what do I need to pick up? Where can I meet you so that, all of our families are getting what they need, regardless of who's doing it, right? It's whatever it takes.
Yeah.
I think Danielle undermines how big that is for us.
It's huge.
Danielle is very still hands-on. She's still hands-on. Like, you can really, like, look, I can't do it. Danielle would jump right in.
Right.
She never left care management.
She ever come to a meeting with you?
Absolutely. She
Awesome.
had to come to meetings with me sometimes to make sure I'm still employed sometimes.
Yeah, okay.
Because you can get...
You mean you're human too? Stop.
I'm superhuman.
All right, okay.
So, at times Danielle is that calm in the storm.
Yeah.
And I think she doesn't realize sometimes how big that open door policy is. I can come here and say what I need to say and blow my top and then breathe and then
reset.
there and
just like we do with our kids,
Yes.
right? Absolutely. Yes. So this is the heart of the work, right? This is the bread and butter of what we do. Do you see now why this was super cool for us to have this perspective for the podcast?
Absolutely.
Trying to think. Any other piece of information that we have this audience and this space that you want to make sure parents and caregivers know about? Yeah.
I have something which I think gets missed sometimes, and I think this is important to you, so I think you'll have something to say about it. A lot of times what happens is parents, caregivers, they call for a kid that's showing something that is difficult, right? And please fix my kid.
Yes.
My kid is having a hard time. Please do something about it, right?
Broken.
But the core of this work is not just focusing on the kid, because the children
One layer of that onion.
Children do not grow up on an island, right? Something about their story, their experiencing, what they're experiencing internal is demonstrating pain and some sort of turmoil.
Behavior is a form of communication.
That's right. And so a big chunk of oftentimes kids and families come in like, well, this is my kid's therapy. This is this team-based approach.
Very closed mindset.
We need the care. We need all hands on deck. If we want to see transformative work, it's not just the kid doing the work. The caregivers have to shift. Maybe the school has to shift. Maybe Bevon has to shift how he's meeting with his family.
Right.
There's got to be real transformation and shift, and all hands on deck. It's not just the
It's not
kid.
an isolated situation.
That's right.
Rarely.
And
Never
so
is it isolated.
it's not just your kid getting therapy. It's we're coming into the home and kind of seeing what's going on, and everyone's going to have a piece in order for your kid to get better, because they're not
perspective
developing
is
by
everything.
themselves.
It really is. But Bevon touched to it, right? Like sometimes the hesitation is it's embarrassing.
Sure.
It can be, upsetting, or maybe the parent is viewing it as like, oh, I did something wrong. Mental health doesn't discriminate. It's not necessarily that you did something wrong. The behaviors, or maybe the consistency or inconsistency with consequences or the rules or the boundaries, maybe, but we're human.
Yeah. Or your kid just might need something different than what you successfully gave to your other kids.
What you don't know, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's really important to the work that we do.
That is a big comparison. My other kids weren't like this, but this one is. And
Right.
like, well, that's why we're here.
Right.
'Cause you need a little bit more for this youth. So we're here to...
And it's not something negative about you, right? Like, I think that's so important. That's something we really want the listeners to kind of get from these episodes.
No shame, no blame, all curiosity, and not what's wrong with you, what did y'all do wrong, but like, what's happening here?
Right.
And what do we do
Growth
with that?
mindset.
Yeah.
Right. Just be open to a different perspective. And we don't have that toolbox. These are all just potential strategies that may or may not work. And I think being honest and transparent and upfront is really going to go the long way.
How much effort they put into making it consistent.
Right.
I think that's a lot of parts where they feel like if they do it once, that's it.
Yeah.
The consistency is the key.
Oh, I tried that. It didn't work. I'm not doing it. A couple times.
We're all parents. I'm sure we've all done that. Why isn't this working? Come on, can't you just get it already?
Yes. And some days it'll work and some days it won't work. I think just kind of normalizing the whole process is really important. And that's one of the goals of this podcast, right? Is kind of break down the stigma, answer those questions, make sure that folks really know these are voluntary services, right? Like we're not being, for all intents and purposes, being forced to come into the home. we're here to help.
And you have to help them out of that hamster wheel of thought process. And I like to say that a lot. Like you get on this hamster wheel and you think that I'm doing the same thing over and over. You're getting on a ladder and you get better.
Yeah.
Better and better. We're climbing higher.
Every day we elevate.
Right.
Yeah.
And you're going to fall and then you get back on the ladder and you climb up higher.
Yes.
And higher. So I think that's the part that I feel like that process is always the difficult because they want immediate results.
Easier said than done.
Everything happened right away. So
yeah.
And I think whether we're talking supervisor, care manager relationship, parent-child, grandmother, caregiver, whatever it is, I think that's why in this work, the relationship is so important so that
rapport
Bevon has this rapport with this parent so they can say, like, hey, what do you think about this?
Yeah.
Let's try something different.
But
and
you can't jump in right off that.
You don't have trust and safety and relationship.
You want to set somebody back.
It's not going to go
You got to build that. Yeah. That's awesome. Before we wrap up this episode, I want to talk because you own an outpatient, right? Fantastic. But that's a huge piece to this work that we do, right? Like we had mentioned, we're trying to work ourselves out of a job, not because we're looking for, Johnny to be perfect and all the problems to be gone. No, we're involved with this access to in-home intensive therapeutic intervention because the young person isn't stable and safe for outpatient.
Right.
So we're bringing the therapy into the home to build that stability and safety. And then the goal is transition to sustainable, natural supports from the community to continue their therapeutic journey. And they could do that at a place like yours. So do a little plug for this great work you're doing there, buddy.
This is very outside of my comfort zone. My office is in Pittman, so Gloucester County. It's called Healing and Growth Counseling. And it's really focused on caregiver child trauma-informed work. I do a lot of, evidence-based trauma work. We're talking EMDR, TheraPlay, really attunement-based work.
I love that.
And a lot of work helping kids and adults learn to understand their bodies, understand what they've been through, how to regulate their emotions, how to communicate their emotions, and just kind of grow and heal from the hard stuff that we've all been through.
That's awesome.
In a really fun and playful and silly way.
I love that. Yeah. I love that. So there are several options that parents and caregivers can tap into for outpatient. But I wanted to, highlight the good work that you're doing over in Pittman and congratulate you. And thank you again to the both of you for joining me for this episode and sharing this valuable information to our listeners. Maybe we could bring you in for a different episode down the road, talk a little bit more about another area. But thank you so much. I appreciate it.
This was fun.
Yeah, excellent. To our listeners, till next time, thank you for joining us and have a great day.
Thank you.
Bye.